Remember when the eclipse happened? Yeah, that was just so awesome, right? No, not really. It seemed like everybody was just outside wandering the streets for absolutely no reason, looking up at the sun and not doing anything, like not even working. There I was, starving to death, waiting for my cheeseburger, but people were just too busy looking at the sun, destroying their corneas, obliterating their pupils just to say that they witnessed the eclipse. I suppose it was pretty significant, but you could just kind of like take a peek and then just go back to your normal lives. There was no need to just stand out there for hours on end. There were literally people having festivals about this, people camping outdoors. I mean, there was no need to camp. You could just be inside your house and then step outside once the eclipse started. I'm just baffled. Anyways, it is what it is. Sometimes I just don't understand human behavior. Ultimately, I wouldn't even be that surprised if I wasn't human, if I was like some sort of species from another planet, and that's why I don't understand humans. Anyways, I don't know, I'm rambling. Let's get straight into today's video. And I know a lot of you guys are wondering exactly why I haven't made a Marvel Legends video in like the longest time. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Spider-Man villains, I love me some X-Men, some Spider-Man. But recently, and maybe this is just me, I know that there have been some really deep cuts in the X-Men universe and in the Spider-Man universe as well. And there are a lot of people that are getting action figures that they've been waiting for since they were like single cell organisms. Like they've been waiting for a very long time for these figures, and that's great for them. But just for me personally, I've been very off put by Hasbro's recent releases. I know there was some hype around a few things here and there, but for the most part, I've just been very disappointed. I know they just recently did like a retro Iron Man style wave that had like She-Hulk and a couple of different Iron Mans, and there's at least one particular Iron Man from that wave that I like. I mean, it looks really aesthetically pleasing. They did release some Spider-Man retro carded figures, and the only one that I'm kind of interested in is that Ben Reilly figure, but from seeing reviews, that app crunch might definitely fall extremely short. They also recently re-released the Juggernaut and Colossus 2-pack deluxe figures, but same thing with those. I think they were released way back in the day. This is just kind of a re-release for people that were not able to acquire it the first time around. Have no problem with it, but again, is that really going to get my tiny little chode going? Am I going to be hard jizzing over it? No, not really. It's really cool for people that missed out and, you know, really haven't experienced the figure themselves. Same thing with the new re-releases of like Deadpool and Wolverine. They've obviously been hitting us with those 97 retro carded X-Men figures that look really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's something to get really excited about, especially with the series finally arriving on Disney Plus. They also had that Joe Fixit and Wolverine 2-pack with that like white suit, which from what I remember, it's like based on just a comic book cover. Aside from a few figures here and there, for example, the Doc Ock, the Green Goblin from the No Way Home franchise, maybe the Tombstone action figure I'll throw in there because it's, you know, Spider-Man villain. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Those are figures that I can kind of get excited. I know I mentioned already the Ben Reilly action figure, which is something, like I said, it's a really cool character. I don't have a Ben Reilly in my display. Some of those that were coming out along the times when I was starting to collect, a lot of those just completely sold out or were just very difficult to find. And like I said, maybe the Cable in that like yellow and blue outfit looks really cool. I mean, it's a figure that if I see in public, I'll probably pick it up. But it just seems like there's been a lot of subpar releases recently. There's nothing to really get me too excited, to get my nips hard. We, for example, have been receiving a lot of like the Infinity Saga MCU action figures, which by the way are also re-releases. And I already said this, but I'll reiterate it. There's nothing wrong with re-releasing figures that are probably very difficult to find out in the wild from like third-party sellers. And it's also worth noting that some of these figures are getting like minor little treatments. They get little tweaks here and there with better technology. Not always, but in some cases, if they're re-releasing something, maybe a better head sculpt or seamless or better articulation, or they'll update, you know, a couple of limbs here and there. It's not always the case, but from time to time they do it. So I have no problems with it. I'm not here to bash Hasbro for it because they're re-releasing figures that make a lot of sense, like that Juggernaut 2-pack, the Infinity Infinity Saga action figures, and every year or so we'll get a HasLab project that just completely blows our mind. But it just seems like Hasbro, it may be withholding something from us. It seems like every time that they release something, it's just either a generic alternate version of a character, or sometimes it's just a re-release. It's very scarce to see something brand new, and at times it doesn't even have to be necessarily like a specific action figure, but some new tech that we're receiving. For example, the pinless technology that we received a few years ago. We did get the new Spider-Man body mold, but that feels like forever ago. If I'm not mistaken, that was like that retro carded Spider-Man figure that just sold out everywhere. And then we eventually got like cell shaded action figures, which was a pretty cool idea. The VHS figures, which was again something innovative, something to get people excited about. And then we got the even newer Spider-Man body molds that include toe articulation. That kind of stuff, like I said, even if it's not necessarily an action figure, but just if it's new tech, it really gets people in the mood to pre-order and buy action figures. Deluxe figures can also be pretty exciting. I remember when we got that Target exclusive Marvel Legends Red Hulk that people were going crazy about. And then there were releases that I wasn't even that excited about, but it was something innovative to get excited about. For example, that deluxe Black Widow that we received a few years ago with all of the extra accessories, some blast effect pieces that could be ported on to a brand new action figure stand that we had never seen from Hasbro. So like I said, not necessarily stuff that we need in our display per se, but just the fact that we're getting something new, something innovative and fresh. I feel like Hasbro has really been lacking on that recently. They are releasing figures and they are giving some customers a lot of what they've been waiting for quite some time, but like I said, overall I just don't feel like they've been doing anything that exciting. It feels like everything that we've been receiving thus far is kind of formulaic, like they're just copy and pasting whatever they feel like is going to sell, or whatever they feel like is going to tug at the nostalgia strings, which is really interesting because they've been doing, well, at least to an extent, the complete opposite with the Black Series line, for example, where they're not only hitting us with brand new unique versions of certain characters, but we're also getting some insane army builders that we've been waiting for like the longest time. We just got a recently updated clone body. We are getting the Phase 2 clones as well. Not to mention a Clone Wars version for both Darth Maul and Ahsoka. We are also getting the Super Battle Droids, the Droidecas, and the list goes on and on of figures that people had on their wish lists. And it just feels like they've been a lot more productive on the Black Series line rather than with the Marvel Legends figures. Not to say that everything's been perfect with the Black Series line. I've come out and criticized it from time to time because they continue to re-release characters that nobody wants, or they continue to re-release some of these on the archives wave, even though they're readily available through the third party or even at retail still. But like I said, at least they're being innovative, they're being creative, they're giving us stuff that we haven't received before, and I feel like that's something that the Marvel Legends line just hasn't been doing recently. But again, just my personal take, my personal opinion. Very curious to see what you guys have to say. These are the ramblings of a madman. I sometimes have no idea what I'm talking about, so very curious to see what you guys have to say. Let me know down below in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe. Stay tuned for all our crazy content. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.